Okay, today is the day to see what's going to come out of my lower tone 33B tumbler after the completion of all 4 stages of tumbling. Now that's 4 stages, that does not mean just merely 4 weeks. These rocks did go for a week in stage 2 grit, a week in stage 3 polish, and a week in stage 4 final polish. But as far as stage 1, I don't know. They all went at least 1 week. So here we have the A drum. I'm going to start with it. I like to label them so you know which one is which. Take off the nut, you grab the washer, and you give it a little stick and twist. And then guys, this is another tip: don't go sticking knives, butter knives, forks, spoons, whatever, into this seal. This is really easy. You just give it a little squeeze, and then you turn it like 90 degrees and give it another squeeze, and it just comes right off. Okay, so you all know, don't pour this slurry down the drain. Try to keep as much of it out as possible. So we're going to go outside and dump this and see what it looks like. Okay, here we are outside. We're going to dump this slurry out. And you can see all of the ceramic. The ceramic is what I use for filler and cushioning. You don't really use that in stage 1, maybe a little bit in stage 2, and usually a whole lot by the time that you get down to stage 4. Alright, I'm going to take this back inside and clean it off a little better. Okay, so we're back inside. You want to make sure, especially here at the end of stage 4, that you keep everything wet and you scrub and clean everything really well. If you're going to be starting over, you'll want a clean start. So what we're going to do is we're going to do what's called burnishing. Some of you may not know what burnishing is, so I'm going to show you about burnishing. I'm going to take each one of these rocks, and they are finished. They are slick and smooth. And hopefully they will be really nice. But I like to burnish after the completion of the final polish. How about that? Dirt road find. So I like to burnish after that, just to make sure that the stones are very clean, and it also helps to make sure that the barrel is clean for starting over or starting back at stage 2 for the case of this particular barrel. And it helps make sure that your ceramic media is nice and clean too. So this is like what I'm talking about here. This is a little agate that I found. And you know, you can't tumble away every little imperfection on an agate. I guess it wouldn't really be an agate. So I don't know if you can see it, but there's little tiny holes in this agate that have, looks like white polish inside. So you don't want to let that stuff dry at all. You want to make sure you scrub it a little bit, and then you want to make sure that you burnish. I don't have many more stones to go here to be ready to show you about burnishing. Now, to burnish, I like to use borax. Many people use shaved ivory soap. That seems to be the majority preference out there, and I have no problem with that. I have some borax, and the borax has never caused me any problems. Truth be told, the borax may be a little more harsh than the ivory soap. Now, I will say, once to burnish, I use Blue Dawn liquid soap, and it worked great for me, but that is supposed to be a big no-no because liquid dishwashing soap is supposed to be harmful to your barrel, and it can do bad stuff, I think, to your rocks. Okay, so I have all of the rocks out of this. I used a lot of ceramic because what I was tumbling at the time, I didn't have as much as I should have to tumble, so I had to use a lot of these ceramic pieces for filler. So we're going to put all of this ceramic back in the barrel along with the rocks. And almost all of them. The first few times that I did rock tumbling, I didn't burnish. I didn't really know about burnishing, and I can tell you that burnishing can make a huge difference. Not always. Sometimes things just don't work out, but most of the time, if you were to take these rocks out as is when they finish stage 4 and just wipe them off, I think you get a slightly better shine using some kind of detergent soap to burnish with. Okay, so I've added water back to just maybe at the top of the rocks and ceramic. And here I have borax. I guess that's in reverse for you because I'm using the selfie camera. And I don't even really measure this. I mean, it's just soap. It's not like you're measuring abrasives or polishes or anything like that. It's just soap. You wouldn't want to use too much. And mine has gotten kind of clumpy. Okay. So there we go. I'm gonna rinse off this outside a little bit. Alright guys, so I'll put the top back on this barrel and get it to tumbling again. With the borax, I like to burnish for at least 30 minutes. Usually it's an hour or so. Some people believe in burnishing for 24 hours or 48 hours, and I do not see, I don't see the purpose in that. But maybe if it was something that had a lot of cracks, a lot of holes, like if everything in here looked like that agate that I showed you earlier that had lots of places for grit to get stuck, you know, yeah, maybe burnishing that long would do some good. But for my purposes, most of these rocks are pretty slick anyway. I'm just trying to get things cleaned up, clean up the barrel, and clean up the ceramic so that I can reuse the ceramic and get this barrel started again for an earlier stage. So there we go. And got it rolling again. I'm gonna repeat and do the same thing here for this other barrel that I haven't opened yet. And we'll come back after the burnishing is done and see how everything looks. Okay, so the rocks finished the burnishing stage. This is about an hour later, and what I've done is I dumped them all into this strainer. Now we want to give everything a really good rinse, and I will set the rocks aside and go over each one of them with a cloth and put them in front of a fan to dry. And I will wash this ceramic off really good and put the ceramic to the side so it can dry, so I can reuse it here in just a little bit. So I'm going to get started rinsing these off. And there you go. These stones are dry and all finished. These, like I said, I found all of these stones. All of these were local finds on dirt roads. And they all tumbled for at least 1 week in 6090 silicon carbide grit. Pretty neat. It has a quartz band that goes completely around it. And then they did 1 week in stage 2 silicon carbide, the 120-220, and then they did a week in the 500 aluminum oxide pre-polish, and then they did 1 more week in the final polish of aluminum oxide. So you have at least 4 weeks worth of tumbling here. More than likely there's a good 5 or 6 weeks. This piece, for example, I know it tumbled several weeks. It took a while to get this to look good, but this is quartz right there, quartz right there, a nice piece of jasper, chert. Got a big chunk of quartz here. They always polish up really nice. I have one little agate here. You probably can't see it good on the camera. Has a massive bug there. You can see little, probably can't in the camera, but there's quartz crystals all inside of this. That was a really neat find. This piece here just has yellow jasper right there on the end, and the other end is just completely quartz. Little quartz nodule. There's another piece of quartz. This piece here is pretty unique. I don't know what it is. Looks like it has a little bit of jasper in the end. Looks kind of cherty to me. So yeah, this right here, that's a nice piece. This is a really nice piece. I was so aggravated because I remember I had tumbled this for a couple of weeks in stage 1, and you can't see it on the camera good. This corner where my thumb is, it's a perfect thumbprint. That corner had a crack in it when I started, and that corner broke off after a week or two in stage 1 grit. So I let it run some more just to smooth out that corner where it had broken. Beautiful piece. And well, that's about it for several weeks worth of tumbling and work, but you get some really nice pieces in the end if you can be patient with it. Ooh, this piece had several broken pieces, but I didn't think it would ever tumble out, so I just let it go. Rocks like this is why you have to be careful in doing a really good cleaning job between stages, because they will hold grit in those cracks and crevices and holes. Whereas if you were tumbling nothing but something like this piece of quartz, there's nowhere for anything to hide on this quartz. It's very slick. If it was wet, you couldn't even hardly hold on to that. So that's why sometimes you do have to be very, very cautious whenever you clean between stages. Now, I don't personally burnish between stages usually. I usually only burnish at the end, but I do clean everything very well between each stage of tumbling. But I know some of you believe in burnishing between each stage, and that's okay, and it certainly doesn't hurt anything. So there you go. That's the end result of after stage 4 of tumbling. Hope you find this inspiring, and maybe it helped you out a little bit. So have fun out there.